about some school children who were chanting "Fix your roads." Tell us a bit about that too.
Okay, basically, when the protesters were using some of the bad roads in the Teshi community, they used a road which leads to a school, which leads to a school. And in this school, whilst we were passing by, teaching had to stop for students to chant, "Fix your roads, fix our roads, fix our roads, fix our roads, fix our roads, government, fix our roads, government, fix our roads." So basically, this call from the students, the pupils of the school, was basically to add on to the demand by the residents of Teshi that the roads are very deplorable, because taking into consideration the poor state of the roads, it's clear that commuters are not the only people being affected. Students are also being affected, because when they close, using the stress to their various homes becomes difficult. So when their parents come into the school to take them home, they use the cars when they are commuting and cars are moving around. All these issues come on board, and pupils of the school protesting was significant to add on to the demand by the residents of Teshi community.
Well, thank you so much for that update. That was my colleague Kennedy Chumesi, who is giving us an update on the protest by the residents of Techi who have hit the streets to demonstrate against the bad nature of roads in their community. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. Still ahead in the bulletin, Supreme Court cautions and discharges NDC parliamentary candidate aspirant for Shai Osudoku, Professor Pesa White, after finding him guilty of contempt of court. We'll bring you details of this and others shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Ajwapa, what's all this condom business? Oh, I've told her over and over again that she won't get pregnant, and she's still insisting. Oh, isn't she the same person who said we would not have sex till we go out for at least 2 years? For all this time? Oh, and she still can't trust me enough? Ama, when I try to do something small, no, condom this, condom that. So handsome man like me, she probably thinks I have HIV.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner. Condoms are effective for protection against a wide spectrum of STIs and HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Yeah, welcome back. Now, the Supreme Court has cautioned and discharged a former executive director of the National Service Secretariat, Professor Michael Pesa White, after considering his apology and mitigating prayer of his lawyers. This follows his conviction on his own plea of guilt and deliberation by the court panel on what appropriate sanction to be meted out to him. Justice Mariama Owusu, in reading the judgment of the court in the contempt charges, indicated that while the bench finds his comment worrying, the apology and steps taken by the convict contributed to the decision. The defeated NDC parliamentary candidate aspirant for Shai Osudoku appeared before a 5-member panel. He was charged following a tweet deemed inappropriate by the court. We'll go over the phone lines to speak to my colleague Hansen Ajman, who was at court today, to tell us more. Hansen, many thanks for your time this afternoon. Now, how did proceedings in court go today?
Well, because it was a contempt.
Hello, Hansen, can you hear me? I would have to get back to Hansen on that for more. Caleb will give us more stories.
Right, so the Municipal Chief Executive for Swami in the Ashanti region, Maxwell Owusu Boache, has called on central government and contractors working on the Swami interchange project to speed up work on the project to avert any misfortunes for the governing party. The call comes on the back of concerns by the regional chairman of the NPP, Bernard Entribo Osiako, also known as Chairman Untumi, that the non-completion of the Swami interchange project is likely to cost the party some votes in the next general election. Speaking to City News on the development, the MCE for Swami says though he shares the sentiment of Chairman Untumi, he believes the government has enough funds to ensure the completion of the project.
He's the regional chairman, and from where he stays, I would say he sees things much more clearer than I do. And from his point of view, I think I share with him the same concern. If you are unable to construct the interchange, I think a lot of people will not be happy with the government, because here is a stronghold of NPP, and the entire region is looking up to this very interchange. Yes, as the MC, I'm aware work is ongoing. The lab technicians are on the road picking samples here and there, but the pace at which they are going, to me, is slower, and I think they need to redouble their efforts so that people will see that construction is ongoing or has seriously commenced. When you speak to them, to the contractor, once they are picking samples on the roads and they've gotten a site where they are putting up their offices and where they will put their equipment and so on and so forth. To them, construction has started, but to the layman or to the ordinary person, until you bring bulldozers, until you bring excavators, until you see construction on the road, people will not consider that to be part of the ongoing work. So we will only urge the contractor and the roads minister to put pressure on the contractor to double up their steps to ensure that we get a speedy work on the road. When it happens that way, I think the people of this region will be very happy. Just that it isn't that they are going to vote against the government, but apathy may set in, because there are people, they may decide not to vote for NDs, but they won't also go out to vote because they feel they've been shortchanged in one way or the other. When it comes to road construction and even other developmental projects, the party has done so much, or let me say the government has done so much in the region. But all that the region is calling for is a monumental project like an interchange. And that is why the entire region is calling for the construction of the Swami interchange.
Swami MCE Maxwell Ofosubuachi.
Now, some members of a group calling itself Single Man Contractors of Ghana have seized the premises of the Ministry of Roads and Highways to demand monies for work done 4 years ago. The group, which is made up of individual contractors in charge of weeding, desilting and other auxiliary works under the Highways Ministry, thronged the ministry with the hope of meeting the sector minister to set up a payment plan for their arrears. However, their hopes were dashed as no representative from the ministry could attend to them. Some members of the group disclosed to City News that their living conditions have become unbearable following the developments. Speaking to City News, the vice chairman of the group, Samuel Kwesi Bochi, says government must address their concerns with immediate effect.
How can somebody be working for 4 years without payment? The minister should put himself in our shoes. Will he continue to be minister if he's not paid for 4 years? It's a problem. It's a problem.
And I know it's not your first time coming here with your members.
Yeah.
How many times have you been here? And
over 20 times. Over 20 times. When we come, me too. When you come, you won't see the minister. By intelligence, we have intelligence on the ground. People who hear the minister, the guys are here, and the minister won't come to office at all.
Is it the same thing you're expecting to do?
Yes. We know he has been hinted. We have done some cross checks. We are on the ground. We were here around 5:36. Some of our members traveled from western something, the western of Takra, western region, eastern region. So they came here around 5:30. And we know what is going on. He's supposed to come here to take something and then travel to central region. But because of us, he's not coming. He won't come. That is the order of the day. That's what he has been doing to us.
Sure. So this will mean that your reason for coming here may not be achieved. Is this something you say?
Yeah, we are supposed to meet him, and talk one-on-one, and I will discuss a lot of things. But the man is not here.
So now are you going to go and come back? What's the plan? Because he's not here.
The plan is that we will go. We will advise ourselves as to what to do next.
That was the vice chairman for a group calling itself Single Man Contractors, Samuel Kwesi Bochi. We'll go back to our earlier story, a headline story where the Supreme Court has cautioned and discharged NDC parliamentary candidate aspirant for Shai Osudoku, Professor Kpeso White, after finding him guilty of contempt of court. My colleague Hansen Ajman joins me over the phone lines with more. Hansen, grateful for your time this afternoon. Could you run us through proceedings in court today?
So, as I indicated, his plea was taken. Initially, he pleaded not guilty to the charge and then changed his plea to guilty. It was at this point in time the president of the court for this case, Justice Mariam Owusu, then inquired if he indeed understood the charges as read to him and wanted the court to reread it to him. But he answered that he actually understood and then changed his plea to guilty. And following his plea of guilty, he was convicted of his own plea. His lawyers, led by Dr. Justice Fremsai and Godwin Tamaklo, then made a mitigating prayer to the court and indicated to the court that immediately the summons were brought to his attention, he calls for an apology to be made on his behalf, where he unreservedly apologized for any form of dent he might have created on the Supreme Court and that he's truly sorry for his actions. The lawyers also indicated that he has caused the Daily Graphic to publicize on its front page and also on page 3 of the Daily Graphic the apology letter, and he has taken steps to delete the particular tweet from Twitter. Now, based on this mitigating prayer, the bench then went on recess, which took about 1 hour to deliberate on what sentence to give to him. So when the bench came back, was at this point in time, the court indicated that they've taken notice of the mitigating prayer. But even before the judgment of the court, the director of the Ghana School of Law, Yao Pon, who was also in court, then also spoke on behalf of the convict in the person of Professor Kpeso White, indicating that the bench should temper justice with mercy. So, based on all these, even though the court indicated that the comment that he has made is a serious one that brings the name of the court into disrepute, and indicated that these are comments that do not put judges that put the safety of judges at risk, citing the situation in which some 3 judges were killed, indicated that they have, however, taken notice of the plea and the apology from Justice Kpeso White, and in giving their judgment, they rather cautioned him and then discharged him.
Now, what was the demeanor of Professor Kpeso White after this judgment?
Well, he was obviously happy. He was excited. Some of the persons who came with him, like Sylvester Menton and the former NHI boss, they were all happy together with his lawyers because they thought and they believed that he was at risk of the harsher punishment being imposed upon him, be it custodial or non-custodial. So the fact that the court cautioned him and discharged him was a good one for them. So he was excited, but the entire team decided not to speak to the media, only to express their appreciation to the court.
Well, thank you so much for that update. That was my colleague Hansen Ajman reporting from court, where the Supreme Court has cautioned and discharged the NDC parliamentary candidate aspirant for Shai Osudoku, Professor Michael Kpeso White, after finding him guilty of contempt of court.
The minority in Parliament wants government to immediately transfer the shares held by the Jubilee Oil Holdings Limited to the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation (GNPC) to ensure proper scrutiny by Parliament and relevant stakeholders. The group contends that revenues from the Jubilee Holdings are currently being used as a slush fund by the government to pursue activities that have not been approved by Parliament under the usual GNPC budget approval process. This comes on the back of allegations of plans by the board chairman of GNPC, Freddie Blay, to relinquish 50% of the shares of Jubilee Holdings to Petro SA, the state-owned oil company of South Africa. The minority says it will file an urgent question in Parliament when it resumes from recess to demand clarity on how the Jubilee Holdings Limited assets are held and managed.
Now, President Akufo-Addo wants the Tourism Ministry and its agencies to consider a new approach to improve the tourism industry in the country. The president says the devastating effect of COVID-19 on the industry makes it imperative for a new and sustainable approach. Speaking at the opening of a National Tourism Summit at the Producer Lodge, Nana Akufo-Addo says preservation, promotion, policy approach, and partnership should guide the new approach.
For the purposes of this summit, I propose that we focus on a fourfold approach: preservation, promotion, policy leadership, and partnership. Firstly, preservation. We must preserve what we have. We're the guardians of Ghana's natural wonders, and it is our responsibility to safeguard them for future generations. Let us strengthen our commitment to environmental conservation, combat climate change, and promote eco-friendly practices in the tourism industry. In so doing, we will not only preserve our natural heritage, but also attract eco-conscious travelers who seek destinations that align with their value and who are growing in substantial numbers across the world. Secondly, promotion. We must amplify Ghana's unique appeal on the global stage. Through strategic marketing campaigns, enhanced digital presence, and targeted investment in infrastructure, we can showcase the diverse attractions our nation has to offer.
You heard there President Akufo-Addo. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. Still ahead in the bulletin, hundreds of people have thronged the National Identification Authority's headquarters here in Accra in hope of registering for their Ghana card before the SIM card re-registration deadline tomorrow. We'll bring you details of this and others shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Imagine you had a tailor-made fresh suit or dress waiting just for you every morning. Sounds awesome, right? Well, Airtel Tigo daily deals are just like that, but with voice and data bundles that meet your daily usage. Get your phone, dial *533# now, and access awesome voice and data deals only from Airtel Tigo. With daily deals, you get plenty data and unlimited voice minutes. Charlie, every day is a good day on Airtel Tigo. Just dial *533# for your daily deal. When you're with dealer now, don't delay.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
It's true that life can be complicated, and navigating the realities of the modern world even more so. Sometimes you can find yourself in trouble just because you didn't know better. But as the adage goes, ignorance of the law is no excuse. A Question of Law seeks to deconstruct the legal framework within which our daily lives function. A Question of Law airs at 6 p.m. this and every Thursday, only on Citi TV.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, farmers in 5 communities in the Tano South municipality of the Ahafo region, namely Breni, Mensin, Jerusalem, Biokrom, and Ohienimguase, are concerned about activities of nomads in the area, which they say is negatively affecting them. They are urging the Municipal Security Council to intervene to prevent an escalation. The farmers say if nothing is done about the situation, they will protect themselves and their farms. Alhaji Sule is the leader of the farmers.
The major problem we are having in Bichim here, especially areas like along the Mansini Road and Ohienimguase Road, there are a lot of farmers over there, and these animals have been destroying our crops for about 3 years now. Specifically, it's not every animal, but specifically cattle. The Fulani herdsmen are in Bechim here. They are having about 700 to 800 cattle, and they use the animals to feed on our crops from farm to farm, farm to farm, farm to farm. So as I speak now, most of the farmers have abandoned their farms because of the destruction of the animals. So it is very great and a big problem for the farmers living in Bechim here. We have taken so many steps. We have gone to the police command. We have reported the case to them. We have done all the necessary things that we are supposed to do. But these people are not giving us any positive answer. I plant maize, I plant vegetables. The animals has taken over my farm. So of late, I don't go there. We are just looking on the security. If the security are unable to do what is expected of them, then we, the farmers, we will organize ourselves and go to the police station or the security and ask them the reason why they haven't done it. And if they know they cannot take any action on that, then it means we, the farmers, have to, take our own means to protect our farms and our properties.
Alhaji Sule is the leader of some aggrieved farmers in the Tano South municipality of the Ahafo region. Now, the municipal chief executive for Tano South, Collins Ofinamtechi, has been narrating steps being taken by his outfits to address the problem.
It has come to our attention at our last MUSEC meeting. That matter was extensively discussed, and what we did was we decided to have another meeting, not involving all the MUSEC members, myself and the security or service commanders, to answer specifically about this. That matter has come to our attention. We have discussed it at the MUSEC meeting, and the police is also investigating about the complaints received from the complainant. So they are doing the investigation. But what I will say is it has come to our attention, and we are looking for how best we can resolve this matter. We have met over it, and we are going to meet again over it.
You heard the municipal chief executive for Tano South, Collins Ofinamtechi.
The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, says it may be forced to publish names of institutions that are running unaccredited programs. The commission says its checks reveal that a section of the public are falling victim to institutions through advertisements. Speaking at a media engagement on this development, the Deputy Director General of the Commission, Professor Ahmed Abdullahi Janapo, urged managers of these institutions to take the desired steps.
When you go on our website, you see all the programs that are running. And as I said, there are instances that you get institutions indicate that we submitted an application. The program is accredited or is not accredited. When you apply for a visa and you submit your application, you cannot go to the airport to board a plane on the excuse that I've submitted my application. No, you need to be accredited. And the accreditation process ends when you are issued a certificate. So the avenue or platform for people to know whether programs are accredited or not is on the GTEC website. With time, we will have to move a step further. We will have to move a step further by more or less publishing programs and institutions that are not accredited. By publishing programs and institutions that are not accredited. And if you realize we've had a history to that effect, where institutions and their programs nearly collapsed because the actual map they put in the papers that this institution is not accredited. We do not want to get to that level. We, as I indicated, do have an appreciation of a historical background of where we are coming from. That's why we are trying to tread cautious. We don't want to spoil anybody's business, but we also want the stakeholders in this whole enterprise to work with us so that at least there will be some kind of decency when it comes to the tertiary educational landscape.
He added that some of the unaccredited programs at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and the University of Ghana, which was cited in the 2021 Auditor General's report, have now been accredited.
I must be frank with the public that since last year when the Auditor General's report came out, there have been a lot of commitments on the part of the different institutions and with specific reference to University of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and UCC in being up to touch with their accreditation. And I can say on authority that since last year, University of Ghana have been around 129.8% improvement when it comes to accreditation of their programs. Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, based on where they stood as at the Auditor General's report, they've been able to move up to 180.5%, which for us is very important, is commendable, and UCC about 41.9%. A lot still needs to be done. Our aim as a commission is to have zero tolerance for non-accredited programs. All programs before they are run needs to be accredited. We are doing everything within our power to ensure that this is done.
Professor Ahmed Abdullahi Jinapor is Deputy Director General, Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC.
Now, away from that, hundreds of people have thronged the National Identification Authority's headquarters here in Accra in hopes of registering for their Ghana card before the SIM card re-registration deadline tomorrow. We are joined over the phone lines by my colleague Fred Duho, who is at the headquarters, to tell us more. Good afternoon, Fred. Many thanks for joining us. Now, with this number of people being there, definitely going to put pressure on the registration process. Run us through what's happening there.
Certainly so. There should be some level of pressure here, but I can say the NIA is managing the pressure quite decently. And by decently, I mean that they provided the people with some level, shelter, which is canopy, and the people are relaxed and going through the process. From what I see, they take turns. You see one official from the NIA invite about 5 people or 10 people in at a time to make payment and then proceed to the next stage of the registration process. What is quite intriguing to note is that most of these people here told me that they've not registered for their SIM cards. And don't forget, the deadline for SIM card re-registration ends tomorrow. And most of these people are racing against time, hoping to get their Ghana card and then proceed to get their SIM cards registered. Some of them also share the fact that they are not really perturbed because they stand to lose nothing. They will proceed and purchase new SIM cards, then get their registration done later if they are unable to succeed today. But let's speak to some of them who waited to delayed in registering for the Ghana card. Welcome to Citi Prime News, sir. Thank you. Why are you here to register for your Ghana card at this time?
It's actually me. I was like in and out of Accra, and whenever I come, this is the third time I'm coming here. They will do some few registration, and then they say they've closed by 12:1. So this is the third day I'm coming here to come and do my registration.
The registration was opened not today, not 3 days ago, not a month ago. This has been lasting for over a year now. Why delay till this last hour?
Yes, the thing is that the process is so cumbersome. Maybe, for instance, you go to some of the centers, when it was in some of the centers, you can't go through, you don't have guarantor and some of the things. So when you come here again, this is the third, for me, I came here last year with my wife, and the process was so cumbersome. That was last year. And this year I'm here with my daughter. Same thing. So, I mean, whenever I come here, it's not like the process is smooth. So come and then within 30 minutes, 1 hour, you're done. You have to take the whole of the day off.
So the NIA thought it wise to extend registration centers or points to each and every one of us as citizens. That is how come they spread a number of centers across the country. They even proceeded to create other premium centers at the stadiums, stadia, and a whole lot of places. But here you are today, still going through the same cumbersome process you were avoiding before, and you are still here to do it. What really brought you here? Are you racing against time to register for a SIM card? Have you registered your SIM card? What is your status?
Yes, the reason why I'm here is because from MTN, they said tomorrow is the last day. So that's why I'm here. But they should have done this in a better way. I think it should have be done in a better way. There are other ways that we can do this thing. Even though, I mean, the process have been going on since last year. But there's also a better way to do this thing.
One thing that we need to take cognizance of is the fact that you were supposed to do this for free. Now you are here to pay 280 Ghana cedis for it. Why waste that money? I say waste because you had the chance to do it for free.
Yes. If you check, even there's a lot of people now who doesn't have voter ID card. You see, it's not like maybe time. It depends on the time you have. You see, time is.
Ghanaian will always choose the last hour.
Yeah, the last hour.
That's why we are here to struggle. Well, Wilma, you've heard one of the people here basically waiting to take his turn to register. But I can also put on record that the NIA is saying that they can't really do much today because if they would even stretch their devices and their staff, they can do just about 600 people. And the numbers I see here are in their hundreds heading to the thousands. And this is what is happening across other registration centers, what the CEO, Kenneth Tefwa, told us when he granted us an interview some few minutes ago. He also mentioned again that they have done their bit, but they are also financially constrained because they are hoping the government would extend financial support to them as they is supposed to do. Because don't forget, quite recently, there were some backlogs that were announced or reported on. And we understand Parliament actually approved some $10 million, which was released to the partners, and they proceeded to clear the over 500,000 NIA cards that were in their stock. So as we speak, the NIA has been able to clear the backlog, but they are equally hoping that they would get some funding from the state or the government to proceed to carry out their activities swiftly. The NIA also mentioned that they are not in a rush to end their process, but due to the SIM card registration that ends officially tomorrow, as announced by the National Communications Authority, the numbers we see here is as a result of that deadline issued by the Ministry of Communication alongside the National Communications Authority.
Well, thank you so much for that update. That was my colleague Fred Duho reporting from the National Identifications Authority, where hundreds of people have thronged the premises of the headquarters in hopes of registering for their Ghana card before the SIM card re-registration deadline tomorrow.
The director of the Nuclear Power Institute at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Professor Kofi Deborah, says Ghana should consider the use of nuclear power as a good energy base for its industrialization plans. He says the power needed for industries to function can be derived from nuclear energy, hence the need to explore that option. He was speaking at the Nuclear Forum on Ghana's nuclear power program in Accra.
One of the facts is this: you are a country that sits within a sub-region. That sub-region technically is energy poor. You are one of the countries, or I'm not say one of the countries, but the country that will be able to provide electricity to the sub-region. And it's a fact. I mean, you go to Nigeria is a special case. Okay? Their frequency modulation is even a challenge.
Okay.
So Ghana sits in a very good place to provide that electricity. What sort of electricity are you providing to the people? Now you are also being restricted by your nationally determined contributions that you committed to the climate change. So are you going solar, which is good, but will be solar be able to actually back your industrialization drive? That's one thing you need to look at. Will the renewables be able to do that? That's something you need to look at. Do you have gas? Yes, you have gas, but you have limited gas because gas is a limited resource. So you need to now look at what else can I put out there to be able to drive that industrialization attempt or agenda and also supply energy to the sub-region.
Professor Kofi Deborah, Director, Nuclear Power Institute at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission.
Now, nuclear stands out as one of.
And that's how we end today's edition of the Citi Prime News, live from our studios at Adabaka in Accra. For more news, you can log on to our website, citynewsroom.com. I'm Wilma Obubi-Sakoma, and this afternoon I did this with
Caleb Kuda.
Up next is the afternoon's edition of the Citi